Thank you for turning off your mic, whoever that was. Hello, I'm Courtney Maley. I'm the Virginia Main Street Program Manager, and it's delightful to see everyone here. Thank you so much to all the board members of Advancing Virginia Main Street Communities who are here today. It was such a pleasure to meet many of you in person at the Rev Up trainings a couple of weeks ago. Rubbing shoulders with you was definitely a highlight for the Virginia Main Street team, and I'm glad that we could reconvene you again so soon. Just a quick note, there was an invitation snafu with today's board forum, so we do have a number of people attending that are not board members of Advancing Virginia Main Street Communities. So I apologize about that, but I hope that you will still be able to gain some new knowledge today about supporting small businesses in your roles. For those of you who are not board members of Advancing Virginia Main Street Communities, you are very welcome to fully participate today, so don't hold back. And we look forward to learning alongside of everyone. So with that, Kelvin is going to be hosting this board forum, and he's going to take it from here.
Thank you, Courtney, and thank you everybody for joining in. Apologize for the snafu. That's the new kid on the block making their first and only mistake, believe it or not. That's the first time I've ever messed up in my life, but I'm glad to have everybody here. Thank you for joining in on this Main Street Board Forum. So as Courtney had mentioned, this one is going to be focused around creating entrepreneurial ecosystems. So we'll be here for the next hour. But as we do this presentation, please take the time to mute yourself. So if you are new to Microsoft Teams, this session is being recorded, so it can be redistributed later. So if you know somebody that was unable to make it to this one, definitely keep an eye out for that. Or if you just want to revisit it and listen to our beautiful voices, yeah, this will be redistributed later. I encourage you all to use the chat feature. The Virginia Main Street team is in the chat and we'll be able to help answer any questions, or I can also pose them once when we get to the allotted segments. Just so everybody knows, there's the chat function. You can see the attendees. If you have any questions, please use the raise hand function. There will be a couple of moments throughout this presentation that'll kind of prompt you to raise your hand, and if you feel like we are speaking the gospel, feel free to use those reactions there. So, and if you don't want your camera on, or if you don't want to use your microphone, those functions are there as well. And don't leave just quite yet. That button is there, but we will not be using that until noon. All right, so we're going to do a little welcome and warm up. So just to meet the team, you have already heard from Courtney Maley. She is the program manager for the Virginia Main Street team and also the state coordinator. I also have Amy Guzelitis that is here on the chat. She is the program administrator for Southwest Virginia. Blair Bergler is the program administrator for Northern Virginia. Myself, who oversees the Central and Shenandoah region. You also have Kyle Meyer, who I believe may be in the chat. He represents Eastern Virginia. And then, of course, there is Zachary Whitlow, who represents South Virginia. So he is currently out on a site visit, so you will not be seeing him today, but you will certainly be seeing everybody else in the chat here. So here's the agenda for the day. We're going to try to stay pretty religious to this agenda here. So this is the triannual virtual gathering for board members, and it's focused on working with our small business communities, or rather with organizations that support small businesses. So we're going to do welcome and warm up, a little breakout chat, and then we're also going to have our special guest do a little presentation. So hopefully the goal of this is that you're able to walk away with one more organization that is in your tool belt to assist with providing support to small businesses on your Main Street. So let's go ahead and do a little icebreaker. You may or may not hate this, but I want everybody to kind of take a moment and talk about some of the struggles that you are certain that you are hearing from your small business owners currently. So one of the main things that we kind of heard during the rev ups a few weeks ago, if not a month ago at this point, a lot of board members had approached members of the Virginia Main Street team and had talked a lot about a lot of the struggles that they are feeling, just economically right now. And some board members didn't feel qualified to provide small business support. So the reason for this whole presentation today is to kind of walk away with, well, one, be able to hear from your other Main Street organizations and hear about some of the challenges that are being felt currently, because I know it's very easy to kind of hyper focus on your community and feel like you're just kind of trapped. But I promise you, some of the struggles are being felt throughout. And hopefully we can all walk away with some solutions or other organizations within our area that we can try to lean on. So I want to take these first couple of minutes for some of the organizations to chime in. Please state your name, where you're coming from, and then, of course, a struggle that you are feeling, that your small business owners are currently feeling. So let's switch over to the chat, and I'd love to see some hands. If not, I will have to call on some people that are not looking directly at their camera. Art,
I will start since everybody's shy today. All right, I'm Bart
please.
Goldberg from Fredericksburg, Main Street, board president. We, for the first time since COVID, are struggling a bit with some empty stores. Some, I think, just from a few businesses that maybe weren't run really well, but the rumors around is that our landlords are raising the rent. It's really just one landlord that's dramatically increasing. It's kind of a catch-22 because we need him to fix up some buildings that are a little rough. But then, of course, if he spends a lot of money, then he wants a higher rent. We're finding that some of them are the rent so high that retail is not really able to fill them. It will take a restaurant to go in there. So that's a little bit of the struggle. I think our foot traffic is good, but maybe the dollar spent per person is down a bit also as far as the retail side. But our foot traffic has been strong. So there we go. Let's get started.
Yeah, thank you for sharing, Bart.
Sure.
So a lot of rent and lease rates or leasing being raised. So that's certainly heard, but good to hear about the foot traffic, of course. Anybody else? This is kind of a, this is a safe space.
Hi, everybody.
Feel free to chime in. Oh,
John Mormon from Celtic Tides in Lexington, Virginia. Incidentally, Bart, my brother-in-law owns Irish Eyes up there on
1 block from my store.
John, I think you muted yourself.
Sorry about that. We've got kind of two issues right now. One is the inconsistency of business throughout our downtown area. It makes it very difficult to plan, project, buy inventory and etc. And all of our businesses downtown are really suffering from that. The second, of course, is we are 100% dependent on imports, and the confusion caused by the tariff situation is really confusing. I mean, if we're going to have tariffs, have tariffs. If we're not going to have tariffs, let's not have tariffs, but make a decision and stick with it.
It was a very common concern that we had presented to us, and as we continue to venture through our communities, that's something that we all continue to hear. So we're all, of course, feeling it together. Hopefully, by the end of this conversation, you can at least know of one organization that may be able to help with that. Cynthia, I believe I saw your hand, and I apologize if I. Oh, and you were muted. I'm sorry. You were, just wanted to catch you before you got too deep into. It's going to be in the top right for you.
Awesome.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm not a Teams person, sorry. And I don't have my glasses on. My name is Sanithia Martin. I am from Petersburg. Things that I think that we experience that we're struggling here with in Petersburg as business owners is consistent or adequate foot traffic. Definitely the rent increases. And then I always hear this from business owners and from just members of the community that there is not a central location for us to find out about all of the events that happen either within our service area or just in Petersburg in general. And so there are great things happening, but no one place to find it. And then by the time they find out, it's already happened.
Yeah. Very matured. So not being able to have one place of a database for events. So that's very much hurts. Cynthia. Thank you for that. Anybody else? We still got a little bit of time here, so don't be shy. Hopefully, as everybody's putting their cards on the table, you all feel empowered to also play some cards.
Nancy?
Eric Nelson.
Hi, I guess you meant Eric Nelson, is that me?
Yes.
Okay, hi. I'm from Colonial Beach, and I would say the thing that our business owners struggle with most is the seasonality of the business in Colonial Beach. We are a resort town, and in the summertime, everything coming up roses, but in the off season, it is difficult to keep businesses going.
A lot of the communities are probably some sort of season based, whether it is a college town or in your case, a season, a town that fluctuates with the seasons. Knowing your foot traffic, like when you have the prime amount of foot traffic or sales in general. So yeah, thank you for that, Eric. And I see Jen's hand.
Awesome. Thanks, Kelvin. I've loved what everybody has shared, and I especially loved what you shared, Kelvin, is that we can get so insular and then just hearing about everybody else, what they're going through. It just really adds a community or a unity through our own struggle. So thanks, Kelvin. I would honestly say one that keeps coming up in our for Buena Vista is online presence. A lot of our stores don't have active websites and or are capitalizing on e-commerce. And so we've got one business who's worked really hard to try to get there and some others that are just beginning to try to see the importance of it. So I would definitely see that something that we've got a lot of improvement on.
From them in-person feeling to also being able to tap into the e-commerce thing. That's certainly something in the modern age we're all trying to lean on a little bit more. So heard for sure. Nancy, I saw your hand, and you'll probably be the last one before we switch it over.
Okay,
Move
yeah,
on.
I'm Nancy Cox. I'm from the Petersburg Main Street. I'm with Sunithia, so I back everything that she said. The other problem that Petersburg has, we have a very poor perception of the city, of how do we get it out there, that it's a very safe place to come to, where Main Street is, and it's an age-old problem. So we're not sure, that's a real holdback of businesses and stuff. But everything Sunithia said, I back right up.
Yeah. So being able to what I'm hearing there is the perception of your downtown, or rather the city. That's how do you combat that or
Yes.
boost your presence a little bit
Yes.
more. Yeah,
Okay.
heard for sure. Yeah. So I know this is all kind of like doom and gloom, but I hope by us all kind of sharing our challenges and things like that, these are probably some things that you all have probably been mulling over and trying to find solutions by yourself. But hopefully you all hear everybody else's struggles, and perhaps there's some bonding that can be done over that. And hopefully we'll walk away from this conversation, like I said at the beginning, with something in your tool belt that may be able to help out. So thank you all for sharing that. And yeah, I see. All right. So today's key takeaway is that it takes a village to create a thriving Main Street. Now, of course, we all work in the Main Street world, and we very much have a responsibility to our communities, but also the thriving Main Street is not the sole responsibility of your organization, believe it or not. Certainly, down at the bottom, if I could have added an asterisk, is like, it is our responsibility, but also it is a community effort at the same time. So how can we create that? And that is by considering the partners that are within our communities to create entrepreneurial ecosystems. So one thing that I really want to kind of bring home is that all of our Main Street organizations are structured differently, and we all have our strengths, whether it is in the design, economic vitality, promotions, or organization. Those 4 points that are from the, from Main Street America. But also at the same time, I think it's fair to say that we can't be strong in all of those things at the same time. We certainly will try to, but how can we also try to lean on some of our other small business organizations that are in the area and create partnerships to make our Main Streets thrive? So I want to introduce Stephanie Keener here. She is the Executive Director of the Small Business Development Center, Lynchburg region. Keener has been with the SBDC since 2014 and has been the Executive Director since 2018. She also walks a very similar path as us, or has walked a very similar path as us. In a previous life, she worked for Lynch's Landing and was the assistant director. So she knows very much about the Main Street approach and all the work that's being done at the Main Street level. So the reason why I have the SBDC here today is so that everybody can realize that there is at least one organization in your neighborhood that's willing to help with supporting small businesses. So thank you, Stephanie, for joining in today. And I'm going to pass the baton to you.
Thank you, Kelvin. And I'm assuming that you're advancing my slides, right? All right,
Gotcha.
Great. Just making sure. Well, everybody, thank you so much for having me today. As Kelvin said, I am an old Main Streeter. I worked at Lynch's Landing back in the day when we were still doing a lot of events in downtown. And don't ask me about the time that I passed out during the derecho and then got caught downtown for almost 2 days after that event. So maybe someday I'll tell that story. You can go ahead and advance to the next one. So I am now the director for the Virginia SBDC that serves the Lynchburg region. The Small Business Development Center is a program that is operated through what is called a cooperative agreement with the United States Small Business Administration. So I want to take just a minute and kind of explain how that works and why all of these logos are on your page right now, so that you also understand how it works in your community. So like Main Street, every SBDC in Virginia is a little different and a little structured a little different, but we all are funded and set up in this way. So the U.S. Small Business Administration creates a pool of money. We're in the giant congressional omnibus, right, that you hear about on the news all the time. They have a pool of money for small business support through small business development centers. We serve in all 50 states and even the territories. We are literally part of a legion of thousands of small business advisors across the United States. The SBA grants those funds to every state. And in Virginia's case, our headquarters are actually at George Mason University. So we have a state director there, Jody Keenan. We have an amazing team. I'm going to talk more about some of those statewide programs in a minute. But George Mason is sort of the headquarters for the Virginia SBDC. And then every community in Virginia has access to a small business development center through a host organization. So as an example, here in the Lynchburg region, I'm hosted at the Lynchburg Regional Business Alliance, which is our large regional economic development organization, our REDO, which might be a term that you've started to hear as you get more involved in Main Street boards and things like that. Our regional economic development organization, our Chamber of Commerce, and we have a new initiative here called the Center for Entrepreneurship. So all of those organizations are housed in one place. And I know that I think one of our communities in Virginia, our Main Street organization is housed in the same facility as our SBDC. Is that Galax? Scalax? Yeah. Okay. So yeah, so we are one of your federal partners for business advising and assistance, and we do a host of programs. You want to go to the next slide? So we like to think of ourselves as a statewide infrastructure that is a resource to help deploy job creation initiatives. We are an economic development program. We are feet on the street to help small businesses access capital, marketing know-how, job creation expertise, help with retention, startup issues, and of course, the thing that I'm hearing from a lot of the things that you guys are talking about today, expansion and survival. So if you don't listen to me say anything else, hear me say this. SBDCs are not just for startup businesses. We do a ton of work for startup businesses, but more than half of the clients at the Virginia Small Business Development Center are businesses that are already in existence. And we can really be a powerful partner with those small businesses who might be in those spaces where they're not really sure what's going on with their cash flow or how to think about more revenue streams. The SBDC can, at the very least, have an advisor sit down with that small business and talk about some of those expansion and issues that they're struggling around. Just go to the next slide. So here's the map of all the SBDCs across the state. You will notice they span all the way from the far western border all the way to the beach, right? So every Virginian has access to an SBDC. If you're confused or you're not really sure about who your SBDC is, you are more than welcome to email me and just say, hey, I was in a Main Street meeting the other day. Who the heck should I be calling? And I can help you get connected to the director who serves your region. So my region, you see SBDC Lynchburg region is highlighted there because that's me. In our region, we serve the city of Lynchburg, which is a proud Main Street community. Amherst, Appomattox, Campbell, and Bedford counties. Of course, Campbell County is also host to Alta Vista, which is also a proud Main Street community. And all of our folks across the state work pretty closely with, hopefully, with our Main Street directors and other organizations that serve our small businesses. Do you want to go to the next slide? So let me tell you a little bit about what we do. So, we're everywhere. We work with small businesses. Oh, I have a question for you guys. Who knows what a small business is? Do you know what the federal definition of a small business? You can just shout it out if you know how many employees you have to have less than in order to be a small business. Did anybody answer?
Is it 100?
You're close. It is 250 employees by most definitions. And there are a few definitions that are even bigger, like in defense contracting. So small business development center can serve businesses that we think of as really fairly large businesses, right? How many of your main streets, you don't have to shout this out, but how many of your main streets really have businesses sitting on Main Street or in your, not as, even if your main street's not called Main Street, right? That have more than 250 employees in them. Probably it's only City Hall in your communities, right? None. That's right, Maggie, none. Um, a lot of the city halls in the communities that you guys work in and serve probably have 10 to 15 employees in them, maybe even less, right? So in your average business, small business on Main Street, 1 to 10, right? Your restaurants may have larger numbers of employees just because they have a lot of part-time employees and it takes a lot to run a restaurant, but those are usually the biggest businesses that you're working with. So SBDCs, the reason I say that is because I want you to know that SBDCs can serve every business on your Main Street. You are not going to come trotting in with a business that says they need help and we're going to say, nope, that's not our thing. Now we don't really serve nonprofits exactly, but most of your businesses, your retail, your restaurant, any of your destination businesses, they are folks that we can serve. So what do? We do one-on-one counseling. We do training and workshops. We do conferences for small businesses. And we provide probably our most important work that we do is providing information, resources, contacts, and connections. The most important thing about SBDC advising is that it is always free and confidential. No SBDC advisor will ever charge for one-on-one counseling. That is literally against the law. Okay. So your small businesses do not have to worry about putting ongoing advising with SBDCs in their budget because we're there to work with them. We also work really hard to recruit advisors who are subject matter experts. Here, as an example, on the staff at Lynchburg Region, we have somebody who's a financial planner. We have an accountant that we work with as a 1099 contract who we can have people do that kind of one-on-one advising with if they need that. We have a food and beverage expert, and we have a marketing and branding expert. And here on our as part of our advisory team, who is a contractor with us, we also have somebody who serves in the contracting industry. We will work with businesses at any stage, and I really want to reiterate that. So it's not just for startups. We're here for your businesses that are growing and expanding. You can go to the next slide, Kelvin. One of the things that we don't do, and this is where we get into a little bit of a sticky minute, is we don't do what we call finishing projects for clients. So I said, for example, that we do have an accountant that we can call on. The accountant that we work with role is to give advice and to help train the business to do their stuff, right? So Jamie cannot sit down with the business and set up their QuickBooks for them. Jawanza, who is our marketing and branding expert, can't sit down with the business and actually build the website for them. But we can coach them through that process and give them lots of advice. So we can't write their business plan, we can't create their website, and we can't represent you in, as in real estate or something like that. We don't, and this is one of those spaces where we love working with Main Street, right? Is that we don't host networking or other events that don't feature a training component. So ribbon cuttings, just getting downtown businesses together to have that moment of, hey, what's going on, right? That's not our wheelhouse. That's not what we're here for. We're here to help you learn and to workshop through some of those issues that you might need to know more about or that you're struggling with. We also, and here's another place where Main Street steps up and we step back, we cannot promote clients through marketing cooperatives. We are not here to advertise our clients to the wider world. You guys, that is your wheelhouse. And another thing that you guys can do that we can't do is we can't make grants or loans. We get a lot of folks who come in and they think we have grants or we have loans because we're affiliated with the SBA. And we have to say, no, here's what we do. We help you get everything together so that you can go and apply for that grant or loan. And we can help you make the determination about whether or not it's time for you to apply for a loan. Or if you really are on solid enough ground to go to the bank and ask for that capital that you may need to keep your business running. So the Virginia SBDC at George Mason has 4 programs that we do on a statewide level. The first one is a program called the ICAP program. ICAP stands for Innovation Commercialization Assistance Program. And it is focused on assisting Virginia-based technology and innovation-driven startups on their path to success. They provide mentorship and work with businesses to get ready to maybe pitch to investors or work on an initial seed round of funding. I want to mention this quickly. Don't think, oh, that's not for our Main Street businesses, because technology and innovation here is defined very widely. So if you have a Main Street business that maybe has a new kind of a new system or that they've invented, and I'll give you an example of like a carpenter. We've had a carpenter come through the program who invented a way to stand up wall facing. That was kind of new. So, that was something that we never think of really as technology and innovation, but it really was. So if you know somebody who might be creating a new product, this might be a program for them. And it's free. The second one is, if you'll go to the next slide, international trade. We have an entire program that is focused on getting Virginia businesses exporting overseas or to other countries. That program is really designed to help businesses understand first steps to export, right? So training, customized counseling, and research to help companies really mitigate the risks that they might encounter as they're going to export for the first time. We have connections with the United States Commercial Service, a federal partner that we work with, the Export-Import Bank, those types of folks who can help you get your products overseas. Again, you might be thinking, I'm a retail kind of person. How does export work for me? Listen, if you have businesses on your Main Street that are selling Virginia goods, that folks that are making candles, soaps, chunky knitted blankets, whatever else, right? And they're ready to export those, have them sit down with an SBDC counselor, get connected with that export program, and they can help you get ready for that and even answer questions about, to myself and another person on our team, Jordan Raves, are both, we have a certification in helping businesses export, and we can be good at helping you judge whether or not you need to just work with a firm like DHL to do shipping, or it's really time for you to engage with something like somebody like a freight forwarder or something like that. So, yeah. That's a great program. Cybersecurity, we talk a lot about this, right? Like small businesses really get hit pretty regularly with some issues around open passwords and things like that. And we do a lot of training on cybersecurity. We really are focused on delivering those programs across the state through webinars. So take a look at the training events that we have listed on our calendar. Okay, next one is craft beverages. This is the one where you folks should really perk up your ears. not because we have the craft beverages, but because you have the craft beverages and we have the experts. We got a guy. We have a full team that is ready to help advise your folks who are doing Virginia beer, kombucha, any of these, the brewed or bottled beverages that are happening across Virginia. We have Chris Van Orden on staff at George Mason to help. Again, free and confidential, provide free and confidential business advising for those businesses. Those are just the programs that we have at Mason. You can stay on that next slide, Kelvin. Those are just the programs that we have at Mason. One of the things before I kind of exit and just sort of listen to your brainstorming session is that I want to say is just like you guys, every small business development center is a little different, and we all have a little piece of expertise that we bring to the program. So whoever, if you're in Far Southwest and Becky is your SBDC advisor down there, you know that Becky is amazing with working with banks. And if I need to tap on Becky's shoulder for advice, I can absolutely do that. If you are in the Hampton Roads region, Jolie is there to assist you. She has another person who is on her staff who is incredible at helping develop those loan packages and things like that. We have a marketing expert on our team. Just kind of looking through we have somebody who is just brilliant with AI right now. So if you want somebody to lead a training on AI, please let us know, those kinds of things. So we have so many resources for you. So make sure that you're reaching out to us. Anything else you need me to cover, Kelvin?
No, that was wonderful. So
Your
I hope
party.
yeah, thank you. Thank you for that. I hope everybody is able to walk away and know that you have somebody that is in your corner as you do your Main Street work. And I think that is incredibly important. I think also another really important thing to note is that it's free. Like I know that's something that, a lot of Main Streets like to hear, so.
And I will add this just quickly. Our goal is to spend at least 5 hours with every client. So it's not a one and done. You don't come in one time and get one free service. We want to keep you in our little mitts over time.
Just so everybody knows, I used to work with Downtown Lynchburg Association and used to work very closely with Stephanie. And there were many times where working with small businesses, they would approach us with a conversation that I or neither was the team very, we were not it was not in our wheelhouse to answer some questions. And it was a lot more easy for us to say, wow, you should really book a conversation with SBDC instead of us trying to flounder and try to come up with an answer that perhaps we do not have. So if you ever find that yourself in that situation, do not be afraid to say the SBDC is there to help. So I see a hand up. Eric, what is your question or comment?
Well, it's not really a question, it's a testimonial. In a previous chapter of my life, I owned some small businesses in the Alexandria area, and I worked with the SBDC in Alexandria, and they were super, super helpful. They had a business advisor who helped me figure out my business plan. They had the financial support for me, and in terms of helping me figure out what sort of financial resources I needed to go to. So I'm just offering a testimonial.
Is that our amazing Bill or Gloria at that time?
Yes, Bill and Gloria.
Both amazing people.
Anybody have any SBDC specific questions before we move on, Stephanie's going to be around here for the remainder of the hour, so she's not going anywhere. But if you have any questions related to the SBDC, let's hear them. Yeah. Well, after this, if you do want to reach out to Stephanie, of course, here's her contact information. I just want to pop back there for a second. If you need to take a screenshot, take a photo with your phone, she'll be able to direct you to the correct office. All right. And then, of course, there is the QR code there for you, and that should take you to the SBDC's map or at least database of offices. All right, so now that you've heard that spiel about the SBDC, I wanted to take some time to kind of brainstorm, and as we've been talking about the challenges that we have all been facing, I want to talk about what some of the organizations that you all are currently leaning on and how they are assisting you. So again, if you could state your name and what the organization is that assists you, and how they are a partner to your Main Street organization. And alternatively, if you don't want to answer that question, the other question is that what small business needs are currently being unmet in your district? So happy to hear about that too. And perhaps we can all just kind of group think together, and perhaps we can all learn from one another and brainstorm partners that we can all work with. Some ads. Need be. Are some of you already working here? Are some of you already working with your SBDCs? That may be something as well. And I see Bart's hand, actually. Hi, Bart.
I just like to go first every time, I guess. Ours is kind of obvious. We work with our economic development and tourism very closely. We have a couple superstars there that help us with events and different things. Great to work with them. I think the challenge that comes with that is differentiating what we do versus what they do. So we get sort of lumped in with the city. When I took this position, I said something we need to do is educate the community about what the Main Street group does. It's a little challenging to fundraise when they think it's the city that's doing all these things. That being said, vital to work with EDT. They're fantastic and show up and help us with everything, of things that we do. And we really kind of do a lot of the similar things. Ours is just in a smaller district, so 100% important to work with them all the time. Thank you.
Yeah, working with your economic development offices are absolutely key. Those are, we work hand in hand with them. Sometimes it can get a little rough, but it's always a great partnership at the end of the day. Eric, I see your hand.
Yes. In Colonial Beach, we have this organization called the Economic Development Committee, which is short of an economic commission, but is a committee that's comprised of various business owners. And it had been affiliated with the Chamber of Commerce, but more recently, it has become affiliated with the Main Street program because it was sort of a better fit. So this committee, which does a lot of work support for economic development in town, is now affiliated with Main Street, with our Main Street program, and acts as our sort of economic vitality point. So this relationship is really quite strong and going really well. We also do work with the Chamber. The Chamber is basically an event management organization. They don't do a whole lot with, really networking events or anything like that, but we do work with them on events, and some of the other organizations in town as well. We work with, we have a community foundation that we just received a grant from. that is going to help us with some of our needs for promotional activities. So we reach out and work with anybody and everybody in town who can help us.
Yes, I love to hear that. Anybody else? These are all really great things so far. So we've had economic development offices, Chamber of Commerce, foundations. John, I see your hand. Add to the list.
Yeah, we actually, I'll have one thing to add or discuss possibly at the end, but like Bart and Eric, we work very closely with tourism, with our chamber. Our Main Street program manages the Economic Development Committee. And during the years, Main Street here in town has started to take over or have dumped on us, whichever way you want to describe it, a lot of different projects that the city and or the chamber used to run. So we've become busier and busier and busier. I'd like to echo what Bart said. We face a lot of resistance from people who have a completely wrong idea of what Main Street does or even what the chamber does. People seem to think that if they become part of, and of course we're not a membership organization at Main Street, but if they become involved with Main Street or if they join our chamber, that's some sort of silver bullet to making their businesses instantly successful. And it comes back to the point that you made at the beginning, Calvin, is that you guys are not the answer. You are part of the solution. And I keep getting I'm a member of the National Retail Federation Small Business Retail Council. I've joined the Virginia Retail Federation. And it seems to me that we need a voice at some level, either through SBDC, through the retail federations, possibly even at a federal level, that is able to discuss in much more detail and has the time to discuss truly small businesses. I would refer to them as micro businesses. Mm-hmm. Because I'll bet, as you said at the beginning, the vast majority of Main Street members are 10 or less. And when you try to discuss, my experience has been when we try and discuss things, we kind of get overlooked because people kind of think we do regular fly-ins up to DC with the NRF, and when we speak to our representatives up there, it's you're only a 2-person business or they're only a 6-person business, and we kind of get just politely or impolitely pushed to one side and really ignored. I do think somebody needs to speak up more for businesses like I presume all of us are.
Yeah. So being able to, yeah, that was a lot. I mean, the advocacy for small businesses certainly needs to be there as well. So, even at a larger level outside of our main streets. So
Yeah.
I hear you there.
Kelvin, can I jump in here for just a sec? I mean, I think that's huge. Advocacy for your businesses is hugely important. And I will, we are, again, just as a reminder, a federally funded program, just as Main Street, has that affiliation with the Commonwealth of Virginia. And so those organizations that have that kind of affiliation, we can't really do that kind of advocacy work, but perhaps your local chamber does, or perhaps the Virginia Retail Federation, needs more members. And even in the absence of an organized movement or an organization specifically for your town, I just want to encourage and remind everybody that as citizens of your community, you can certainly go and speak up to your city councils, but also to your county board of supervisors, but also to your your General Assembly members and your members of Congress and the Senate. And you absolutely should be doing that. I am not, our organization is not necessarily equipped to talk to people about our opinion on the tariff, right? But I certainly can help you think about ways to mitigate that in your business, or how to talk to your customers about how you're dealing with that in the business. But the advocacy piece is really something that I think you guys as business owners, and I mean guys in the broadest sense, right, can all think about as a strategy. And don't forget to
I
talk
think,
to your elected officials. They're
oh
just
yeah, of
people,
course.
right? They don't know everything.
I think we've got time for maybe one more person that could share another partnering organization. So again, we've heard so far economic development organizations, foundations, Chamber of Commerce, elected officials, tourism offices. Anybody else is, oh, Bart coming back for seconds. Let's
Why not? Why not?
one
It was
more.
quiet, so I'd speak up again. Kind of a different skew. We've always talked about trying to be more involved with our local university, University of Mary Washington. Obviously, they have education groups there, but we've found them to be super helpful in volunteer recruitment. We do a huge dinner, and somehow I got in charge of the volunteers for that event, and I was panicking. And next thing I knew, I had the softball team volunteering as my servers, and they were absolute superstars. The sports teams, especially, show up, work hard, work as a team. Great if you're doing a big event and you need some extra hands. Plus, they're supposed to volunteer and do some helping things. So you can find that at the high school level as well, because we have brought some high school groups in. But great volunteers with um, high school and college, and then we tend to feed them afterwards, and they all love to eat, so they are actually excited to help us because they get some food out of the deal as well. So if you know fill their stomachs, they'll be great volunteers and help you with whatever you need. So that's been some superstars that have helped us.
See your hand, but I saw Eric's first. And Eric, if you can chime in really quick. I also
Sure.
don't want to be incredibly over.
Yeah, sorry to speak up again. I should have mentioned this
Oh.
before, and shame on me for not doing it because I'm the president of this organization. But the Artists Guild is a very important partner for us. The Artists Guild sponsors the second Friday Art Walk in Colonial Beach, and downtown Colonial Beach, the Main Street, is responsible for implementing the town liquor license, ABC license for sip and strolls. So we work with the Art Guild on the second Friday Art Walk, because that's when the sip and stroll is. And also the Artist Guild established a new art center in town, which is in our Main Street area, in our Main Street zone. And it's a really great catalyst for our artist community, and enhances the small businesses that are artist small businesses.
Really leans into that promotion side of things when it comes to the Main Street approach. So I love that. That's a very on the nose, I guess, representation of promotion in your Main Street communities. John, I saw your hand.
Yeah, just again, and I'll be brief this time. Washington and Lee University here in town is very, very supportive. They provide research groups and even summer interns for us. Virginia Military Institute is also extremely and financially. And we do have a very good working relationship with our city and the city council. And we're very glad to have that. They're very important with us, obviously.
Kelvin, can I
The
step in for a
universities.
second? I
Yeah.
think that's a great segue because there was a question in the chat that asks, what suggestions do you have for getting your city engaged with your small businesses? So I don't know if John has any suggestions or if Stephanie's willing to tackle that question for us.
When our Main Street organization was formed, it was formed from the ashes of a previous business group. And the city council initially, when we applied to Main Street, our local council was very, very generous in supporting us and financially, and has continued to be so. And it just came about because we do have a good relationship. Our businesses do have a good relationship with the city.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Well,
I was
go
just
ahead.
can I just real quick end with a
Please.
little quick thing? When I worked at Chamber of Commerce at a small tourism town in Western North Carolina, I think one of the more eye-opening moments that a lot of folks had who were on our town council was when we had like Celebrity Day working in certain businesses, and the mayor had to scoop ice cream, and some of our city councilors had to work with on the floor in retail, and it was all kind of a big joke, right? But at the same time, I think just making sure that folks know what your business does and what the realities are of that business is really important because, again, we only have our own perspective, and it's real hard to step out and understand the restaurant owner's perspective when all you ever do is eat in a restaurant, right?
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, I mean, there have been a ton of great questions, but we are drawing to the end of this session. But I wanted to look back at something real quick. I don't know if we answered all of the questions of the struggles that are being felt within your communities, but hopefully through this conversation, at least there have been some thoughts, or rather, you can start thinking of how can you replicate these organizations perhaps in your own community. So we all have economic development offices, we all have chambers of commerce, hopefully, and then also, of course, we have our SBDCs that are here to help. So I'm sure I didn't list all of the partners that were just mentioned, but I hope that we all just had a learning moment from this. And of course, this will all be distributed later in case you did not take notes this go through. As we close up real quick, I'll try not to push us too far over the hour. So we have a couple of save the dates, or rather save the time frame. So the next rev up that we had, again, that was last month, was the spring rev up. The next one we'll have is in the fall. And we have this in multiple locations in Virginia. And then, of course, they're on different time frames as well. So definitely keep an eye out for that. I know we are in the planning stages of that, so more news to come on that later. And again, the next board forum will be on October 16th. So keep an eye out for more things around that. But overall, I thank you all for joining in this go round, and I hope you all have a wonderful day, and we will see you on the next one. Take it easy, everyone.
It's great to meet everybody.